Okay, so I just finished working this vocals mix, and it was sent to me by uh, a friend who happens to be mixing a job, and he wanted me to be the one to handle the vocal mix. So, and kind of he was running um, behind schedule as regards to meeting up with deadline. So he wanted me to work on this, and I quickly, you know, pulled out one of my templates that I use for vocal mix, and I just want to share what I did here. Basically, um, having everything turned off. Okay, having everything turned off, we'll be having the vocals that he sent to me sounding like this.
Praise. We give you all the glory. We give you all. We give you all the glory. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised.
So pretty much that's what the vocal sounds, you know, raw. But having my, settings introduced into it would bring the color to solve pretty much in this format. So let's hear how it sounds now.
We give you all. We give you all the glory. We give you all. We give you all the glory. Yeah, we worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. Oh, we worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. Say, we
So that's pretty much how it's sounding right now. Okay. The first thing I would want to explain here is the routing. Okay, so I have a lead vocal. I have altogether 12 BGV vocal tracks. You can see four altos, four sopranos, and four tenors. What I did was to ensure that all the altos were routed to a VCA, okay, a VCA channel whereby I can actually control the volume of the track, by just the push of one knob, the volume of all the altos, pretty much like what you see in a live, digital mixer, by the sound engineer. So I did that for altos, I did that for sopranos, and I did that for tenors. However, the entire 12 tracks or the entire BGV tracks are routed to a BGV bus. Okay, they're all routed to a BGV bus. Then the next thing is I'm having the lead vocal and the BGV bus routed to another bus group, which I named the vocal bus. All right. Okay. The After that, the next thing I also want to explain is my panning. Now, usually I do pan everything hard left, hard right. Okay. But I think for this one, I just decided to try something and do something different. I did all the altos um, left 50, right 50. Okay, that's how I pound them left 50, right 50. Then the sopranos, I did them left 85, right 85. Okay, then for the tenors, I had them inside left 25, right 25. So that's how I was able to share it. To have, I think, a bit of more uh, spread, you know, in the entire stereo field. Okay. to have that the entire selfie. So let's look at the BGV bus. Now, what I'm using for the chain for my BGVs and the lead vocals are pretty much the same thing. Just maybe one or two difference. However, the effects are the same, but I'm not using directly from the same effect plugin. I splitted them. I had the BGV's effects and I had the lead vocals effects, but it's the same plugins that I was using. I'll show you that later. Now for the BGV's chain, the first thing I started off with is this Dear VRR Pro 2. And I usually do this just to position. Have the vocals more behind and the distance more behind and the stereo width more spread out. So like you can see, this is the stereo width at 130. This is the elevation point. This um the azimuth point, okay, and this is the distance between the listener and the vocals itself. So it's kind of giving a 3D setting. Now, if I don't have this plugin turned on, you would just hear everything sounding like all close and jumped up together.
We give you all
Okay, let me turn off the effects.
the glory. We give you all.
So you can hear how close the vocals are sounding even after I've done the different pannings and all that. But when I turn on this, listen to how it now becomes spread out.
The glory. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised.
So it's more spread out, it's more spread out than when you just have the vocals just only panned left and right. Okay, so that's why I like to use this DVR Pro, and it's the same thing I used for my lead vocals. However, for my lead vocals, I had the distance not 3.5, I had it more close, around 1.8 or so, whereby you can feel the lead vocal more centered and centered, and it's really in the center. Okay.
You are worthy to be praised.
Well, if I turn it on,
Praise. We give you all.
so that's pretty much from this plugin. The next thing was for me to train a DSR where I was just taming, the S's or the T's, that were there. Then I came up with the RVOX stereo compressor, which was the first I used, and I was going for about -3 to -6. Okay. Gain reduction here, and I was still able to balance it with the gain knob so that it's not too loud, balance the volume.
The glory. We give you all.
So you can see the peak coming there. And yeah, for EQ, using the FabFilter Pro, cutting, doing a high pass, cutting it at the mid 400. I did mid-side EQ here at 3K, high chef at 11K. Then brought in my arrow compressor. So if you followed me, you discover that this chain is more of what I use as my templates. So I'm just introducing it here, but different settings, depending on how the vocals is sounding. So this R compressor, I think I was going for about -5 gain reduction. I had it fast attack, slow release. I had to change this to up to. Okay.
The glory, we worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised.
And the ratio is 3:1. Um, yeah, after which I had my PureTech EQ. I like putting my PureTech EQ after the R compressor just to also give a little bit of shaping of the tone for the vocals, make it a bit more brighter and a bit more forward. After the R compressor has first, this R compressor is taking care of the peaks, that I wanted to take care of. So I bring in the PureTech EQ. Then followed by the UAD LA2A compressor. Okay, the UAD LA2A compressor. And with that compressor, I'm not squashing it. Just doing a little bit of gain reduction of -1, -1, -2 gain reduction there. Okay, because in -1, -2 gain reduction there. So um yeah, that's pretty much what this compressor is doing, and adding uh some analog, water texture to the vocals. Okay,
We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised.
so that's that's pretty much what this UADLE2A compressor is doing. Okay. Um After that, I have the Slate digital fresh air plugin that I usually would bring, and that's to give more air to the vocals, uh, adding mid air and adding high air to the vocals. Then, of course, for my BGVs, I use the Cubase Steinberg cloner, to have more like a crowd or choir vocal texture. Then I close the chain with a DSR. Okay, because of since from the vocal processing you have these vocals, high ends has been implemented, so you want to take care of the sibilants, at the end of the day. Okay, to take care. Now coming to the effects, I use 3 effects. I use the pure plate. I use a pure plate verb. I use a verb and a delay. Okay, so the pure plate verb, the first pure plate verb or the first verb, I usually will start off with, which I think for me, when it comes to vocals, happens to me my favorite is the UAD pure plate verb. Okay, the UAD pure plate verb. And for this UAD pure plate verb, I have it sent to the BGVs. Okay, with these settings, low cut at 180, pre-delay at 45, reverb time 2.2, bass -1, treble 1, the mixer tone to 100. But here's the catch. Also putting an EQ, you know, just after the verb, and I'm doing a high pass to about 200 and a low pass to 7K. Just dropping down 3K here. Okay. Then after the pure play verb, just to give more ambience, I'm introducing the Valhalla vintage verb. And the Valhalla vintage verb the preset I'm using here, not basically the preset, all the texture I'm going for here is the concert hall. I have my pre-delay at 60. I have my decay time at 4.5. I have my color 1980s. The low cut at 220. The high cut at 550K, 5,500, Then pretty much, yeah, I have the mode rate at 1, depth at 60%, so this gives more depth to the ambience. And when you are balancing this, you want to ensure that this verb, when you're sending it to the BGV voice, this verb is lower, in volume. Then after that, I'm having it followed with a compressor, whereby I'm sidechaining this compressor to the BGVs to dock -3. Okay.
We give you all the glory. We give you all.
So is docking very well the that ambience, so it doesn't become so washy. And the last thing I'm using here is the hedge delay. Okay, I'm sending the hedge delay 1/8 dotted. Feedback is at about 20, high pass 200, low pass about 3 point something K. Okay, that's pretty much what I'm sending for my hedge delay. So like I said, this this particular chain is exactly what I'm using for my lead vocals. Okay, the same setting, but the EQing and every other setting is different from the lead vocal, because of course the position of the lead vocal to the BGV is quite different. Okay, it's quite different. So like if you see my lead vocal chain, the only thing that is not on my lead vocal chain happens to be the cloner, because of course you don't have to use cloner for a lead voice, but every other thing is there. So the same thing, with the verb, doing the side chaining and all that. So if you use most of these plugins, or you want to get this template setting, first of all, if you're a Cubase user, you can just comment in the comment section that you need this template, and I'm going to send it to you. For this BGVs, I'm going to send it to you. All right. And if you are not a Cubase user, but you pretty much want the settings, I have the PDF for this available, right, for you to use. Okay, so just comment that you need it and I will send it to you. All right, hope this helps.